Hi everyone, it's Mimi. Welcome back to my channel. If you guys saw my last video that I posted, it was of these super cute messy rag bows, and I did a project share on that, and I promised you guys that I would be back to do a tutorial. So that is what today's video is. It will be showing you how I created these. We'll just make one together, and I will have, as always, lots of tips and tricks for you guys along the way so that you guys can use whatever you have in your stash. So before we begin, I want to let you guys know that if some of the parts seem a little choppy in this tutorial, it's because I have already recorded it, but I lost some footage for some reason. I don't know what happened to the footage that I already shot, so I'm having to re-record some parts of it. So just keep that in mind when you're watching this, but I will try to make it as comprehensive and as easy to follow as possible. So let's go ahead and get into it, and I will share with you guys how to create these super cute messy rag bows. First, I wanted to go over some of my scraps of fabric. I did go ahead and iron these because a lot of them were like crinkled up, and I like to work with flat pieces. These are all just scraps, and I'm going to show you how to rip them, which is the best method in creating the look that I showed you. And I'm going to admit, ripping fabric is really fun, so you might get addicted to it, but it also gives you a clean straight line. And if you guys know me, I can't cut a straight line to save my life. Sometimes not even with a paper trimmer. So I'm going to go ahead and demonstrate on this. This is just half of a fat quarter. What I like to do, and it doesn't matter the length because I can always cut it down later. And a lot of the fabric that I have, I don't know where the selvage is. And for those of you who have not worked with a lot of fabric, the selvage edge is the straightest edge on a piece of fabric. So there's a little trick that you can do to basically tell which way that will rip the best. Some woven fabrics will actually tear in both directions, but some fabrics won't. So there are different methods. You guys can look it up on YouTube if you guys are interested on a certain specific type of fabric. All the ones that I have here are cotton. So as you can see, I've already gone ahead and ripped down the sides. So if you have a piece of fabric that you don't know where the selvage is, what you want to do is take your fabric and you want to pull away from each other. You will find that one side, when you pull, does not have any give. Now if I rotate it and pull out this way, and I don't know if you guys can see on the video, but I can feel a stretch. So whichever way your fabric stretches, you want to cut from that edge. And I know I'm not explaining this as clearly as I can, but there are plenty of videos on YouTube if you need a more in-depth type of tutorial on how to find the grain line and things like that on a piece of fabric. So like I said, so because it stretches this way, I know I'm going to rip my fabric from here down that way. So what I like to do is I just eyeball it. Sometimes I will make them a little bit wider. Some I make a little bit narrower. So it's just personal preference, however wide you want your strips to be. So I cut it down maybe about 1/2 inch. You can cut it a little bit longer if you want. And then again, I'm going to grab both ends of the cut pieces and that sound is so satisfying. I don't know what it is. Am I the only one? Let me know if you guys have ripped fabric before. It is so addicting. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and rip the rest of this fabric because I'm going to use it in the bow that we're going to make, and I will be right back. Okay, so now that I have all my fabric pieces for this fabric ripped. I just stacked them on top of each other. I also got rid of all the loose, like longer threads because of the fraying. And then, because I've already been making these, I have a whole lot of just ripped fabric. I also have some burlap, some ribbon. This is a great way to utilize white muslin, which I have a plethora of. I also have some lace in white and this really pretty pink shade that I've cut down. For this lace, I also did go ahead and stiffen the fabric because it was really floppy. So I just have a plethora of different types of ribbon, fabric, and so forth so that I can build my rag bow. And then for this, it's actually wide enough for me to kind of fold it in half, and then I'm just going to go ahead and cut them all. Like I said, there is no measurements that are needed. It's totally your personal preference. But just for reference, most of all of my strips are cut at around 9 inches. So if you want to make something similar in size, that's what I cut my pieces down to. Alright, so let's get started. This is the fun part. I normally like to start with a piece of burlap. I'm going to use this one. This is the one piece that I have left that I've already cut. And it gives it more structure and stability at the bottom of the bow. And also the creator, Melanie, she suggests that too, to use burlap as your first base. So I'm going to put that at sort of like an X. If you guys can see that, it's not perfectly straight from left to right. And then there is no rhyme or reason. You just start piling it on. So every time that you add a new piece, what you want to do is start creating that X. I also have some of this grosgrain ribbon, and you can see it's much thinner in width than everything else, but it still adds a lot of movement and texture. I'm not going in any specific order, so you don't need to repeat any sort of pattern. I just grab whatever my hand goes to. And then in between adding all of the decorative pieces, I do like to incorporate some more burlap. And this is just the natural burlap that comes on a bolt, and I just cut it up. And you can see it is not anywhere straight, but it is totally fine. I also have some organza ribbon. And a lot of times what I like to do is if I see that I've used this already and it's actually going this way, I like to change it up and make sure that it goes the opposite way so that when the bow is complete and you see all the layers, it's on both sides. So I hope that makes sense. Also, when you've been building this up and you get towards the end, you do want to put your more decorative, pretty pieces towards the top so that you can actually see them. Like, this is my favorite fabric pattern that I used in here, so I made sure that it was totally visible from different angles instead of hidden like back here. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and stop there. You guys can choose how thick you want your messy bow to be. I would guess that this was probably about 3/8 of an inch thick, but like I said, it's totally personal preference. So after you go ahead and stack all your pieces one on top of each other, making an X shape, you are going to need something to bring it all together in the center. I will be using this florist wire. I believe I picked this up at Michael's some time ago, and there is a ton on here. But you do need some sort of wire to cinch the middle. You can also use zip ties. I've seen that done before too. But what I normally do is I cut a length and I double it because this wire is pretty thin and you're going through a lot of layers. So I believe I cut this at about 11 inches. So it's probably like 22 inches total and then folded in half. And you definitely won't need this much. I just do it for just in case that I run out. So go ahead and grab your entire stack in the middle. I'm going to lay this piece of wire in the center, or as best I can get it. So there's equal amounts of wire on either side. Then I'm going to go ahead and bend on each end here, right where the X kind of meets, like that. Then grab the two ends in the back and start pulling it. So you can see kind of how it's cinching together. I'll flip it around and then go ahead and twist these two together. If it's easier, go ahead and lay down your bow and take the two ends on either hand and start twisting. Because there's so many layers, it's kind of hard to get it really tight. So what I like to do is grab a pair of needle nose pliers and kind of be careful when you're doing this. I've done it to the point where I've twisted it so hard that I have snapped it like right where they meet, and then basically that piece of wire is useless. But I do like to get it as tight as I can, and what I like to do also is kind of go in right where they meet and twist it. So the back will not be so pretty, but that is not the part that anybody will see. So I keep twisting, and this is also why I double up on the floral wire, because it is so thin. And then I kind of check it from the front, making sure that it's mostly in the center. If it's not, you can try to move it from side to side. Normally I just leave it and try to cover it up with whatever center I'm going to put on here. Now this may be a little thick. I kind of went a little overboard, but it just adds to the fluffiness. So you can actually go ahead and keep this in the back, and if you want to tie it to a bag or something like that, you can use these to attach it. I normally cut mine off, so I'm just taking a pair of wire snips, cutting that piece off. I don't want to go like very far into the center in case it unravels, and then kind of smash that down with my needle nose pliers. And I can put any sort of finding on the back here, like maybe a clip or a brooch pin, anything like that. And then when you're done, this is what the front will look like. You also want to go ahead and gather, and you want to do this before you cut off your tail, but this is fine as well. And you want to kind of fold it up like a sandwich, like this. And then I will take a pair of scissors and trim all the pieces that you see kind of overhanging. And that's why you do want a sharp pair of scissors for this. It's nothing worse than using a dull pair of scissors to cut through fabric and ribbon. It just leaves a really funny looking edge. So that's basically the idea of it. I'm not going to go crazy on this video and show you how much I normally cut, but you basically want to do that until it's even on the ends. You don't want anything majorly sticking out or hanging over. And I normally do like to just pull these like loose pieces out that come out from the burlap. And then if there are any pieces that I want to move around, like I don't like the placement of it, I go ahead and do that. So with this, I normally would trim it a little bit more on the sides, but for the sake of time and the video, I'm just going to leave it as it is. You guys get the idea. You can trim it down as much as you want. It would also be really cute if you took some pinking shears and did the ends as well, so you have a little bit different of a end instead of having it so flat. You can also see that with my messy bows, I also kind of follow a curved line. You can cut it straight like this if you would like. I like it to be a little bit curved, like how a bow would look. So that's also up to you. And then you're finally done. You can go ahead and put whatever you would like down the center. You saw my examples. I used a lot of crochet doilies and buttons for mine, but you can put bling in the center, whatever you would like, and however you would like to dress it up. So those are how to create my messy rag bows. I hope you guys give these a try. Great way to use up scraps. I hope that you guys liked this video and found it helpful. If you did, please go ahead and give it a thumbs up. And if you're not subscribed to my channel, make sure you hit the subscribe button as well as a bell notification, and YouTube will let you know whenever I upload a new video. So thank you guys so much for stopping by. Let me know if you have any questions. Leave them down in the comments section below, and I will get back to you as soon as I can. And until next time, I hope you guys are having a fantastic day, and I will see you guys in another video. Bye, everyone.